Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope everyone's staying dry or warmed up or snowed in or whatever. It's been a crazy weather weekend for us here in Texas. My name is Syya, and welcome to the Afterglow Live Recap Podcast. We've got our illustrious co-host.
Hi, I'm Erin Gregor.
And today we are super excited to welcome a new face and part of the GLO family, Mr. Siva Mulapudi. He is the new chair for San Diego. Siva, welcome to the Afterglow podcast.
Thank you, Syya, and thank you, Erin. Please be here, and thank you for having me.
Thrilled to have you, and on so many different levels. So I asked this of all new members, and I have to ask you because you not only joined GLO, but you actually went extra and became a chair. So Tell us, my friend, what was it about GLO that you liked, and why did you join?
GLO really intrigued me last year in 2020 when Michelle went an extra mile to help me connect with Kevin Harrington last year. That's the first time I heard about GLO. And then I started talking to Michelle, understanding the values and the passion you guys bring in to help better the community and the entrepreneurs around us within our community. I really like that. I did leadership events, shared some chapters in the past, so discussed some commonalities with Michelle, and she proposed the idea of becoming a San Diego chapter, and I took it.
Very cool. So, okay, I'm jealous. Erin and I love San Diego. So, something. You're not going to have a hard time gathering people out in San Diego. My concern is are you guys always just going to be rubbing in like our Miami crew with Mo Hassan? Are you guys always going to be on a boat somewhere in your meetings?
If you get a boat, we're done.
We're done. We'll try not to make you jealous, but to add value,
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about adding value because I want to get to know you a little bit more, and it's going to be so fun working with you. So let's talk about ProSciento. As a managing director, what exactly do you guys do, and what's your value to the business community?
Okay, this is something which I think I'm unique to GLO members because everybody is an entrepreneur, have a business, have their own business and all. But here at ProSciento, we are a clinical research company. It is very similar to a consulting company in a normal industry, but we do consulting services to the small pharma companies and big pharma companies to bring their next generation drugs or next generation medicines and next generation medical technology into the market. That is our goal. And here I lead a business unit in ProSciento for the consulting services division.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So have you guys been is it crazy over the past year, especially? Are you involved in any of the medicines?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are doing 2 COVID trials and we'll be doing 1 more pretty soon. But COVID is not our core competency. Our core competency is metabolic diseases, where we work on vaccines or medicines for obesity, diabetes, and non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, in short term, NASH diseases.
Oh,
you just went right over.
I know. I was
like, wow. That's not my goal, though.
No. It's so impressive. Well, had I known this was going to be like, college all over again, I would have had my bio book out for me so I can actually translate it. No, I love that because you know what? And that's what's so unique about GLO, I think, is the fact that there's so many different business leaders in different industries. And yet at the same time, we're all able to have conversations on how to grow our respective businesses, and it's still applicable. Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's so fascinating about this week's speaker, Rick Sapio. I was really impressed by Rick. At first, I was kind of like, oh, great, another, entrepreneur, billionaire person. Let's hear his story and how rich and, awesome he is. But man alive, Mutual Capital Alliance is his company. He has taken 9 businesses public. So I think he understands a few things and might have seen a few things that could help us grow our business a little bit more seamlessly and efficiently. Right. What did you think? What was your initial gut, Siva, of when you first saw him the first 10 seconds? What was your initial impression of him?
Hey, I'm totally with you in the same boat, thinking that, another guy is coming to present the lessons learned from 40 billion years and all, looking at the title. But it is mind-blowing. I felt very fortunate being in that meeting and listening to him yesterday. Learned a lot. And very humble guy.
Right. Erin, your thoughts?
Well, I sold off all my kids' college funds and went and bought a sports car yesterday. So I really liked him a lot. Fun in the rain on that one. But no, I really enjoyed his talk. It's one of those things that it's always not just a great reminder. It's always things but need to be reminded of, I guess, it is a reminder, but so simple. We overcomplicate things so much. And when he kept repeating over and over, it was like, know who know your mission as a person or your purpose. And so many times it's harder than it sounds to figure that out. I'm going to be flat out honest. I speak from experience. Know your values and stick to those values, and as entrepreneurs, so many times we get so tempted to, okay, well, like you talked even about investors, like here's where I really stand and it's important, but, a customer I really don't align with is here to give me money. All right, let's do that. And like he said, it never works out when you go from your values. So I really enjoyed his talk and just so much of what he said. And I know Siva, you were saying the same thing, had some homework to do after this one too.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly on the values, after the 1 hour presentation or meeting, I went back and started writing my values. Hey, do I have it? Penned it down and really penned it down what my values are.
Yeah.
It's humbling, isn't it, to get to seek for that clarity that he was very explicit. You need to have that vision and purpose, and you need to understand what it is you're striving for. Erin, you'd mentioned earlier in our chat before this, we went live, you guys were talking about that 4-word statement versus catalyzing statement. Can you guys explain that to me? Because I have to admit, I was messing around with my dog for a little bit, so I missed a few good bullet points.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So he talked about your purpose. That was one of the things he talked about at the beginning. And he said, which I think this is, you got to figure out your purpose. Like, why are you here on earth? Like, what are you trying to accomplish in life? I think his was like encouraging entrepreneurs, or it was something like, I can't remember. I can't get into my notes right now, but very simple, 4 letters of what your purpose is. What are you here to do? And what are you trying to do? And, that should be a priority, and what you're focused on.
Exactly.
He also talked about a catalyst statement, which what I look at, what I took that as is more of a mission statement, like businesses have, but it's a statement that you put out from your business perspective. He gave the example of Domino's, 30-minute, whatever they were, like something about 30 minutes. But when I'm joining Domino's or when I'm joining your company, I can wrap and rally around this statement, and I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what I want to be a part of. I know what I'm trying to accomplish, because from a business as a whole, this is what we stand for, and this is what we're going for. So,
yeah. And going back to my science background, catalyzing statement, in my opinion, the way he means is the statement that attracts all your stakeholders, your employees, your customers to that one statement. Like, for example, Bill Gates thinking about having a workstation at every office, or Domino's delivery within 30 minutes. So everybody get excited by hearing that statement, and they want to come to work, and they want to come to your business to work with you.
Yes.
And I think, so on that note then, so making sure that you have that clarity and people understand who you are, what your values are, that ties back to something that really resonated with me was simplicity. He kept using that over and over again. Siva, what does simplicity mean to you at Prosiento, or just your personal life?
Yeah. Again, we are being in healthcare. It looks daunting to a lot of small pharma companies to come into to do some clinical trial, or even if they have a good idea or a good technology, to bring it to the market. So our goal is to simplify the process to them, to make it as easy as possible for them, saying that, hey, it is a well-driven path, and we can help you to get where you are now and to take you where you want to go. And there are drugs that came into market because of our contributions in the research side.
Erin, your thoughts on simplicity? Because I know you always strive for keeping things simple.
Well, and that was one of his values, and that's why he kept talking about it too, like, just making it simple. And I think, as like we try to overcomplicate things, or we take on things that, just even, from our services perspective, it's like, well, we offer this, and we talked about this at the beginning. I'm like, I don't want to have client A have A, B, and C, client B have D, E, and F, client E, and because it's horrible to manage. We offer this, they have it or they don't, period. Like, it's that simple. And it makes life a whole hell of a lot easier understanding what, and I think it's so important to consistently look at your business and say, all right, it's simple processes. Like, where are we in the process, and where's the bottleneck? How do we avoid this bottleneck? How do we continue to get through this? And I don't know, simplicity it makes life easier. It makes you more money. It does so many good things. So, if that's your value, I think it's really important. It's important to address.
Yeah.
There's somebody. I'm sorry, Siva, go ahead.
No, an example he shared is in New York, when everybody is trying to drive down to the office, he decided to take a hotel next to the office. So it's simple. He can wake up, go to office, and come back.
Yeah,
that's right. I mean, just the commute time alone, I can't even imagine New York. I already complained about traffic in Dallas, which, by the way, is very nominal. I can't even begin to imagine folks that live in very high density locations. Yeah. I gave up the Bay Area; that it's the worst. But okay, so what I loved about simplicity, though, and to me, at least how it resonates to me, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, you guys, is by keeping things simple and having clarity in the vision and purpose, and so everyone has aligned goals. To me, the results are more predictable. So now you have a business then that you can actually anticipate much more cleanly, that if there is a need to pivot, it shouldn't be a shock to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you agree or disagree, or do you simply think that by having simplicity, it's so simple that it's not predictable? It's just you've kept it so simple that it's in line with whatever you were working towards. It's slightly different perspective. So I'd like your thoughts.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think the awareness, right? These things really force us to have awareness on what we are doing, why we are doing things, and how we can accomplish them, keeping things simple and result oriented.
Yeah, and simplicity, it creates the predictability. Even just, okay, do we need to hire people? Do we not need to hire? Like, what's happening in the future? Where are we with it? I mean, there's just so many pieces that if you have things all over the place, and I don't know about you guys, but I get like and I'm not the most, let me be known, I am not super organized. Okay. I love me a spreadsheet, but I have my faults, and I'm not a very organized person in many ways. I kind of let things go. But I live in massive anxiety when things are not organized, when I don't know where something is, when I know that piece is off, and things are not simple, and they're, I know there's a piece over here somewhere that I got to fix. And then I make it a bigger hill than what it is, because I'm like, oh, this is going to take me 20 hours. We always talk about taxes. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah.
When it comes down to taxes, it really doesn't take that long, but you make it into this big thing in your brain, and you're like, it's going to take me 7 weeks to do taxes. And then you sit down, you're like, oh, it was only 7 minutes. This wasn't that bad. But just living in that anxiety when you live in complication, and over complication, to be honest with you, is just, it's hard for it. I don't like it. It truly makes me anxious.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny you should mention that. So with the anxiety and, that you have with that level of unpredictability, or if things aren't in its proper place, you get anxious. He did talk about very early on, you guys, getting a chief of staff. Now, between you and post, you guys, Erin and I, we're a startup, and we are working multi hats. But as our business grows, and I chuckle because I'm like, sunshine, if I can afford a chief of staff right now, like this would be, that'd make everyone's life a heck of a lot easier. But let's talk about that term that he said, though, a chief of staff, right? What were your thoughts on this? Because he said, in order to find a really good chief of staff, they have to be on the exact same page as you, and your communication has got to be perfectly in line. Do you think that chief of staff could maybe do something alternatively, or do you think that you agree with what he was saying?
No, I think that is very crucial, and I absolutely agree with him, because that is my personal experience, where I was an individual contributor at the beginning, the early stage of my career. It used to be easy. Like, I used to do my job, and I used to shine, and it is done. But as I'm growing the ladder, I realize that it is getting hard, because there are always 100 things in your brain where you want to focus. And you should never miss your big picture, right? If you need to focus on big picture, there should be somebody who can really understands you, who matches you in your frequency, and then deliver your vision for you. And I think I like the idea. And I do that in my company as well. I have in a couple of departments, I have my own chief of staff who executes my vision and runs away with it.
Yeah, I actually have my goals. I have 21 goals for 2021, and one of them is to hire, personal assistant, chief of staff type person. Just I have a lot of balls in the air and to help organize things of what's going on. So when you said that, it was like, all right, add this hire to the list. I think that the key piece is, though, you have to be in a position that you can set them up to succeed instead of fail. So many times it's like, well, pull this out of my head, do the, whatever, all this stuff. And they're like, okay, I want to help you, but you got to let it go to be able to help you, type of thing. And I think you have to be in a position that when you bring that person on, you are ready and set up to, again, really help them set up for success.
Well, I would absolutely agree. Like, if you don't, then they're going to fail because they have no idea what you're trying to do or accomplish.
And they're going to get annoyed. Yeah.
And now you will end up doing two works, right? One for you and one for your chief of staff. So
exactly. So, okay. So in that context, so as you grow as a business, right, and you're bringing on people and you're bringing different skill sets and team members, and they each have their own stories, if you will, that they're bringing to, the company story, if you will. I did like some of the advice that he gave. One of which that I thought was, I don't know why this just struck a chord with me. Maybe because I've just been a little peon for so long at major billion-dollar corporations, but I loved what he said. Make sure you award for successes. And one of the areas to do that is to ensure that everyone in the company gets the same bonus.
No.
I mean, when he said that, I was like, holy smokes. Like, wait, what? Like, I don't think I've ever heard that before in my head. So is that unusual, or am I just jaded, you guys, from being, 20 plus years in corporate America?
I think you're jaded.
Really? This happens, same bonus for everyone? I don't understand this.
You're working towards a common goal. Like, it's a profit share. It's something along those lines, right? The company reaches X, everybody gets, and it could be like a percentage of your salary, right? So not everybody's going to be exactly the same, but you get 2% or 3% but you're all working towards a common goal. If the company hits this, you're all going to win.
Okay.
And like, you have individual ones too, but you want that, specific one.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a team contribute. Yeah.
Okay. So, just make sure I understand you. So it's not like everyone gets $500, although that was the example he did give. You're saying it's a percentage of whatever their compensation might be, which I mean, I guess I could see that as well too. There was another point that he added to that, though, was you must have some kind of benefits, something that they can work with you in the long term. And then he also added, you have to pay them something for the long term. Otherwise you can have people leaving you, or use you as a stepping stone.
I love that idea. Yeah. The example he gave is also very good, where he said, like, in one of the companies where after 10 years, they pay the employee to have a cruise around the world. I love that idea. And the CEO reached out to one of the employees, like, how are you doing after 6 months? And the employee's response is 9.5 years to go.
Yeah.
Back in Phoenix.
That really ties.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, back in Phoenix, Intuit was a huge company out there, and they would do the 7-year sabbatical. So if you worked for them for 7 years, you got 3 months, I think it was, of paid vacation where you could just go check out and do that. And so many people like work towards that. It's kind of sad. You're working towards your 3-month vacation, but it was a huge bonus for them and a huge piece of, a thank you to being there and putting so much effort into the company.
Right. Well, Joseph, thanks for joining us. He's also one of our key folks on, if you're looking to raise capital within Global Leaders Organization. Is a great business for that, and we can send you to Joseph. But Joseph Verasanzi added doing a company-wide and also team-based performances. So it's not just an individual like income. It could be, if the team itself performs, then there's a team reward as well, which is an alternative way, which I didn't think about that, which is awesome. And thank you. I am jaded from my past experiences with bad companies. Thanks, Joseph. No one go into my LinkedIn profile, because I do like those companies. Okay, so I mean, you guys, these are really good bullet points that we have, but there's one that we didn't touch on, and I really want us to get into before we get too excited and forget about it. But you guys were talking about kids and tough love, Now, this is not my bailiwick, so I'm going to have to defer to you two on both on this. But he has a very specific vision of how he interacts with his children. So let's talk about it. So Siva, what was your thoughts on his impression on how he raises his children?
Being a mother, I would like to have Erin take the first shot, and then I'll get to the next one.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. So we were talking earlier, Stephen and I, and it is so hard to let your kids fall. It really is. You don't want them hurt. To see your child hurt is like knife in your heart, right? So, but there are things you have to do to set them up, because you know, life hurts sometimes, and not everybody likes you. Like I was talking about it before the call, you know, my son would have friends who would just, you know, kids are kids, and sometimes they would be nice to him. And I would just, you know, instead of internalizing it, I would say to him, just go up to him and ask what their problem is. Like, why are they acting this way to you? And that simple question has been so powerful for him. Well, and 9 times out of 10, they just kind of shake out of it like, oh, you know, no big deal. So simple things like that. I've taken a huge step too. I've been very vocal about it, about teaching my kids, my parents. I love my parents, but they, you know, Mom, can I have this? What do you mean? Made money grows on trees, you know, all those kind of statements. So, and money was like a bad thing, you know, like it was always something that was hard to get. You had to work really hard for. And so I've set up my kids where they can do chores, but it's not a every week thing. They have to earn certain things. And then there's other opportunity to make money if that's what they want. So I never say we can't afford it. I never say I won't. But at 8 and 9, they already know, if you want that, go for it. Like there's X amount of ways to make money. You can make it in a day. You can make it in a month, whatever you choose to put for it. And I've also taught them about value, because they want me to buy them things. And I'm like, but I bought X amount for you at Christmas and you don't even value it. It's half the toys broken right now. And all, so I work hard for my things and I value them. And if you don't value the things that I work hard for, why should I keep buying them for you? And just simple things like that. I think it's so important to, you know, it's the fishing statement. You teach them to fish or you feed them fish. What are you going to do? Exactly. I mean, it's TBD. We've had some issue, you know, my kids are far from perfect. But so far, you know, there's things that they learned. I mean, I didn't buy a car. I moved their college fund to their therapy fund, and so they're set.
Yeah. On my side, I always go with the dilemma of love and tough love, right? We live in a community where we see everybody doing just love, and I am always the dilemma, like, is it okay to have tough love on the kids? And yesterday, listening to Rick, it really clarified my mind on how you need to grow them with some tough love in a controlled environment, right? If they fail within our home, we can pick them up and we can make them sit on a chair. If they fail outside or if they fall outside, nobody is there to protect them. So it's better to have a tough love. I follow very similar rules as you, Erin. When I take them to shopping, like Costco or somewhere, if they find something and if they get excited, my friends tell me, oh, my kiddies always wanted me to buy things in the store. But that excites me too. When they see something and they say, oh, I really like it, I say, oh, it's your chance to earn it now. Let's go and do something. And they ask me, like, the way they ask the questions is now, they don't ask me to buy something. The question they ask me is, what should I do to get that item for me for Christmas? And then we set the rules. And I really get happy when they really work hard to get those rules. Yeah.
It's that sense of accomplishment, right? That
exactly.
It's that pride in your work and craftsmanship and ownership. It applies whether you're 5 years old or 500 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, I mean, my kids treat the stuff that they buy themselves much different. Like, well, one does, but you know, I mean, I won't give them full credit, but yeah, I think it is just that sense of, and like I said, it's not, I just want them to learn, like, anything is possible. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can go, like, because it truly is, money is an energy source, right? And it, you know, like, just go out and find it. And I just think I don't know. Like I said, TBD.
So talking about TBD, okay, because I know both your children, and I think they've got incredible personalities, and I think they'll do very well in life. They'll follow their own path, but they're definitely going to do well. And on that note, he made an analogy about horses. Okay, who wants to talk about horses? Because help me understand the analogy, because I didn't quite catch it. And so, who wants to clarify?
Here is the quote he gave, which he got from his dad. In life, you can choose to be a rider or to be a horse. If you pick one, the other life takes the other position. Like you can be a horse or a rider. So actually, I was lost a little bit too when he said that initially it looks like he wanted to be a rider and he want life to be the horse. And after some time, and after he earned some money or after being successful, now he's thinking whether to be a horse and let the life take on to be a rider. Erin, I would like to get your thoughts on that.
So yeah, I found that really interesting too, because so as a control freak, there is so much of wanting to control everything. Like I've learned a lot about who I am, and to tell me to enjoy the process is an extremely difficult thing, right? And so there is that, as a rider, you're controlling the horse and you're like, okay, it's got to be this outcome, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And when it's not, you're trying so hard to control. And I think doing that creates opportunity for you. And like he said, he did that, but he's getting to a point too where there is this point of letting life unfold. And I think there are things that you have to enjoy the process a little bit, let go. Like there's this thing, we're currently working on, and I have where normally I'd be like, I got to know I have to know the outcome right now, or I'm not going to keep approaching this. And I've just let it go. It's like, if this is meant to be, if doors continue to open, we're going to walk through them. If they shut, I am not going to pry that door open, where before I probably would have pried a lot harder, if that makes sense. And so I think that's what he was saying. There is this unfolding that if you sit back, life unfolds as it should. And, maybe you weren't set out to be maybe the multi-billionaire is made for Elon Musk. It's not made for you. And so instead of beating yourself up, trying to become that billionaire, just let life unfold as it should. And I feel like that's where he was getting to a point in his life where he was like, yes, it doesn't mean you're not successful. It doesn't mean you're not trying, but you're not pushing as hard.
So that's interesting, because what you just said there, not all of us can be an Elon Musk, right? And maybe that's not what we want ultimately if we do achieve it, right? Like, how many people have we seen that have achieved fame, success, wealth, whatever, and are still miserable as they were from the first day they, walked out the door, right?
Exactly.
So we're getting close on time here, but I do want to point out one other thing, you guys, because we talk about this as entrepreneurs all the time, as when we get to the point in our business where how do we accelerate growth, or where do you want to take it to the next level? And I really loved what he had said was, by understanding your value and your worth, he now never leaves his office to raise capital. Can I just tell you, in my heart, I fluttered and I loved this, because I'm guilty as a salesperson, as a career salesperson. I'm always like jumping up on opportunities and trying to get relationships to close deals. This sounds very counterintuitive. So if you're looking to get access to capital, if you're looking for something, by you not leaving and having them come to you, it puts the conversation in a different perspective. So do you like the idea of setting the conditions up front and make them come to you? Or do you feel like at times you got to go back and forth and kind of give accordingly?
I like the idea, but I'm scared with that idea too. Right? Who will but tell you, when we are reaching out to the successful people, when you're raising the capital, it's hard to have them come to our office if you want them to invest $1 million with us. Erin, your thoughts?
Well, no, I think look at it this way though, too, like how he's looking at, like, if you put in, let's say I'm asking for $5 million, my thing is I'm going to make you a hell of a lot more than that. So honestly, I'm probably like I've got a really good opportunity that you should be excited for, instead of desperation on my end of needing you to invest. Like, I'm going to make you much money. I think the same rule applies in valuing your time. So I got caught in the networking. Like, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Oh, I got to meet with this person. And somebody would be like, and my final tipping point was when somebody wanted to meet with me to talk, mutual business, right? And they whipped out the PowerPoint presentation of me investing like in whatever they were working on, and I was done. And so now when people want my time, whether it's, a coffee date or whatever, I literally will ask, what are you hoping to get out of this? Just so I can optimize our time together. What are you hoping to get out of this? Because I think we have to value who we are and value our time. And, it's great to meet people, don't get me wrong. And, you can maybe even cut out a little time of your week where it's kind of the open meeting time, right? You don't expect anything from it. but also you, again, to your values. If I say I value my family and I'm running around with anybody who wants to talk to me just for networking sake, I'm completely against aligning with my values. So I think that can be applied even if you're not raising capital, and being very protective of where you spend your time and who you spend your time with, because there's a lot of leeches out there.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yes, and the word leech is critical. I mean, now I've been doing a lot of after hours networking from Zoom because I could just sit here, be home with my family, if you will, and still be having conversations. But Joseph, again, I love it. You're adding to it. There is something to said about when you do value yourself, but also understanding the positioning that you're in. So there is, Rick, great advice to say have people come to you, but he did have a certain status privilege that would work for him, right? He already had that credibility that people said, oh, wait a second, I need to go to him. But conversely, Erin, I like your idea of saying, look, if I'm asking for 5 million, I'm going to give you 20 million back. So perhaps you should be nicer to me. So I like both perspective, but it's Siva, you and I think, I don't know, is it cultural too? Because I'm a people pleaser, and it's part of my culture. I don't know.
Same in my culture too. Yeah, we go to successful people and try to sit with them. We respect that time more than our time. So maybe
exactly,
a culture.
right? Well, it's a trial. This is our horse ride, right? Either we're going to be the horse or going to ride on it. So, Siva, it is so much time, and we're over time again as usual, but it's always so great. How can we get a hold of you, and how can we learn more about you and Prosiento?
Yep. No, thank you for having me again, to Syya and Erin. People getting a hold of me is easy. I think I have my email and phone number in the San Diego chapter on the GLO, and you can text me or email me or call me direct. Excellent.
And Erin, want to close us out?
Yeah. So all of this great information was part of GLO, Global Leaders Organization. Syya and I, Syya and myself, are the co-chairs of the Dallas chapter. This is all free access for those of you. Like, I watched the replay actually this morning because I wasn't able to make yesterday. So you can still access some of this information. But as a premium member, there's a lot of extra perks to be a part of this. We talk about networking. This isn't the pick your brain type networking that I had to go to coffee over, right? This is actual people who are right where you are, helping each other. So really great. Hopefully you become a premium member. Head over to withglo.com to check that out.
Excellent. And so for next week's speaker, we have Shama Hyder. She is the guru of marketing to the Gen Zs, which, quite frankly, I like to think I'm cool and young and hip, but apparently I am so not of it, as my millennial nieces and nephews like to remind me, and Gen Z. So it'll be Thursday, March 4th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It is free to attend that live. And obviously, over time, if you'd like to re-review all these great speakers, join withglo.com. And by the way, speaking of joining with GLO, there is a promo. We just warning you guys in advance, we have grown so well and things are going great, but as businesses grow, price points change. There is a buy one, get one free offer. So if you are thinking about joining and you have a client that you'd like to have join into the community of GLO, or you have other business associates and friends that you think should be part of the GLO community, we highly encourage you to go to withglo.com, learn about the buy one, get one free, and sign up soon. I believe it ends March 30th. And then after that, it's going to jump in price to become a premium GLO member. So lots of great stuff coming down the pipe. We can't talk about it just yet, but let's just say grow with GLO, right? That's what we're all about. And if there's any questions, feel free to hit up Siva, Erin, or Syya. Siva, Syya, Erin. How do you say that without?
Which one of these is not like the other?
Yes. So everyone, have a great, wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week. And I think that wraps it up for another wonderful episode of the Afterglow Live Recap Podcast. See ya next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.